I have come here to chew bubblegum and kick ass.
With a rumble so low as to be inaudible, growing, throbbing, then fuming into a thundering roar, the earthquake starts. It's not like any earthquake in recorded history. In California, the mountains shake like ferns in the breeze. The mighty Pacific rears back and piles up into a mountain of water more than 2 miles high, then starts its race eastward. With the force of 1,000 armies, the wind attacks, ripping, shredding everything in its supersonic bombardment. The unbelievable mountain of Pacific seawater follows the wind eastward, burying Los Angeles and San Francisco as if they were mere grains of sand. Nothing, but nothing, stops the relentless, overwhelming onslaught of wind and ocean. Across the continent, the 1,000-mile-per-hour wind wreaks its unholy vengeance everywhere, mercilessly, unceasingly. Every living thing is ripped to shreds while being blown across the countryside. And the earthquake leaves no place untouched. In many places, the Earth's molten sublayer breaks through and spreads a sea of white-hot liquid fire to add to the Holocaust. Within 3 hours, the fantastic wall of water moves across the continent, burying the wind-ravaged land under 2 miles of seething water, coast to coast. In a fraction of a day, all vestiges of civilization are gone, and the great cities of Los Angeles, San Francisco, Chicago, Dallas, New York, D.C. are nothing but legends. Barely a stone is left where millions walked just hours before. A few lucky ones who managed to find shelter from the screaming wind on the east side of Pikes Peak watch the sea of molten fire break through the quaking valleys below. The raging waters follow, piling higher and higher, streaming over the molten earth fire and rising almost to their feet. Only great mountains such as this can withstand the cataclysmic onslaught. North America is not alone in her death throes. Central America suffers the same cannonade, wind, earth fire, and inundation. South America finds the Andes not high enough to stop the cataclysmic violence pounded out by nature in her berserk rage. In less than a day, Ecuador, Peru, and western Brazil are shaken madly by the devastating earthquakes, burned by molten earth fire, buried under cubic miles of torrential Pacific seas, and then turned into a frozen hell. Everything freezes. Man, beast, plant, and mud are all rock hard in less than 4 hours. Europe cannot escape the onslaught. The raging Atlantic piles higher and higher upon itself. Following the screeching winds eastward, the Alps, Pyrenees, Urals, and Scandinavian mountains are shaken and heaved even higher before the wall of water strikes. Western Africa and the sands of the Sahara vanish in nature's wrath under savage attack by wind and ocean. The area bounded by the Congo, South Africa, and Kenya suffers only severe earthquakes and winds, no inundation. Survivors there marvel at the sun, standing still in the sky for nearly half the day. Eastern Siberia and the Orient suffer a strange fate indeed, as though a giant subterranean scythe sweeps away the Earth's foundation, accompanied by the wind in its screaming symphony of supersonic death and destruction. As the Arctic basin leaves its polar home, eastern Siberia, Manchuria, China, and Burma are subjected to the same annihilation as South America: wind, earth fire, inundation, and freezing. Jungle animals are shredded to ribbons by the wind, piled into mountains of flesh and bone, and buried under avalanches of seawater and mud. Then comes the terrible, paralyzing cold. Not man, nor beast, nor plant, nor earth is left unfrozen by the entire Eastern Asian continent, most of which remains below sea level. Antarctica and Greenland, with their ice caps, now rotate around the Earth in a torrid zone, and the fury of wind and inundation marches on for 6 days and nights. During the 6th day, the ocean starts to settle in their new home, running off the high grounds. On the 7th day of the horrendous rampage is over. The Arctic Ice Age has ended, and the new Stone Age begins.
I was in London about a month ago. The World Cup was going on. I enjoy any sporting event where nations get involved. I find that the most exciting. The Olympics is really my favorite sporting event, although I think I have a problem with that silver medal. I think if I was an Olympic athlete, I would rather come in last than win the silver. If you think about it. You know, you win the gold, you feel good. You win the bronze, you think, well, at least I got something. But you win that silver, that's like, congratulations, you almost won. Of all the losers, you came in first of that group. You're the number one loser. No one lost ahead of you. And they don't lose by much. You know, these short races, 300ths of a second, 200ths of a second. I don't know how they live with that the rest of their lives, because you got to tell the story. Everyone wants to hear the story. Wow, congratulations, silver medal. Did you trip? Did you not hear the gun go off? Tell us what happened. It's 100th of a second. People say, what was the difference in the margin there? What was it? Well, it was like from now to now to now to now. That was it. I trained, I worked out, I exercised my entire life. I never had a date, I never had a drink, I never had a beer. I was doing push-ups since I was a fetus. I flew halfway around the world. Everybody I knew in my whole life was there. The guy shot out the gun and then, And they always have that photo finish. You know, the photo finish was always silver, gold. This is the whole race. Gold, silver, bronze, dead last. Greatest guy in the world, never heard of him. You know, guys gotta be thinking, if I had a pimple, I would have won.
When you see the Earth like this, and the cosmos like this, and 10 times more stars, 10 times as bright because of no intervening atmosphere, in the full 180-degree view, if you put your face to the windows, it's magnificent. It's overwhelming. What happened was a sudden recognition of heart. It made me realize that the answers to the ancient questions, who are we? How did we get here? Where are we going? Within science were certainly incomplete and perhaps flawed. This feeling of unity and connectiveness was an aesthetic, blissful experience. When I came back, I knew my life had changed. I knew that I had to go find out what was this experience I had had. Astronaut Edgar Mitchell remarks at the Piers Star Wisdom Conference, May 8, 1998.
There is no great controversy in saying that the internet is full of strange beliefs and theories. With a few clicks of your mouse, you can find message boards to share all sorts of nonsense with people all over the world, throwing ideas back and forth to illuminate non-existent problems. One such conspiracy you may have seen around online is the myth of Great Tartaria, which you can find dropped into posts and videos relating to the Mongol Empire. Today, we'll share with you a short guide to this internet myth and give you some tools you can use to debunk it, should you be unfortunate enough to see it in the
And the news brought to you by Pfizer. Come on.
In relation to the Mongol Empire, you know what is not controversial and is always in good taste? The sponsor of this video, Boxu.
Sections 4153 of the Tycho Treaty.
So hand over whatever galaxy you might be carrying and step away from your busted-ass vehicle and put your hands on your head.
I wouldn't try to publish a scientific paper about these things because I can't do any experiments. I can't make a glowing raccoon appear. I can't buy them from a scientific supply store. I can't cause myself to get lost again for several hours, but I don't deny what happened. It's what science calls anecdotal, because it only happened in a way that you can't reproduce it, but it happened. Nobel Prize laureate Kary Mullis, with regard to an unusual experience that occurred one night in 1985. Abduction encounters begin most commonly in the home, or when abductees are driving automobiles. In some cases, the experiencer may be walking in nature. One woman was taken from a snowmobile on a winter's day. Children have experienced being taken from schoolyards. The first indication that an abduction is about to occur might be the unexplained intense blue or white light that floods the bedroom, an odd buzzing or humming sound, unexplained apprehension, and a sense of unusual presence, or even the direct sighting of one or more humanoid beings in the room, and of course, up-close sighting of the strange craft. Here, too, the vagaries of the memory, the peculiar mix of psychological self-defense and an apparent control of recall by the forces that the aliens command, make it difficult to develop meaningful statistics regarding the number or percentage of relatives involved in the abduction over a period of time. Sometimes alien beings are remembered as friendly playmates or even healers. In the case of Carlos, for example, the abductee felt he was literally cured of life-threatening bouts of pneumonia by the alien beings. Often the aliens are protectors in early childhood, but the encounters become more serious and disturbing as the child approaches puberty. Frequently, the child will tell the parents of these encounters, which the child knows to be real, and are told by the parents that they were dreaming. Abductions run in families, sometimes over 3 or more generations. Indicators of an abduction. Although some abductees may recall only a single dramatic experience, when a case is carefully investigated, it generally turns out that encounters have been occurring from early childhood and even infancy. Indications of childhood abductions include the memory of a presence or of little men or other small beings in the room, recollections of unexplained intense light in the bedroom or other rooms, a humming or vibratory sensation at the onset of the experience, instances of being floated down the hall or out of the house, close-up sightings of UFOs, vivid dreams of being taken into a strange room or enclosure where intrusive procedures were done, and time lapses of an hour or more. In 1981, Hopkins, a fellow psychiatrist, reported that in which the parents may have been unable to find the child, awakening paralyzed with a sense of dread and experiencing strange beings or a presence in the room are common indicators in both children and adults. People often ask, why are there no independent witnessing of these abductions? Well, independent witnessing of abductions do occur, but is very rare and limited in nature. As in so many aspects of this phenomenon, the evidence may be compelling, yet at the same time maddening, subtle, and difficult to corroborate. As with much supporting data as firm proof would require. Husbands and wives, for example, are commonly, quote, switched off, close quote, while the spouse is being abducted and have slept through the whole event. The abductee is sometimes highly frustrated when their loud screaming fails to rouse their sleeping partner, who may seem to be in a state of unconsciousness deeper than sleep, almost appearing as if they were dead. Now, a commentary note, if humans can be simply switched off, then none of this is real. Crystal Zuby. In one instance, a documented case now widely discussed where a woman made an unsolicited report from Brooklyn Bridge. She saw Linda Cortelli being taken by aliens from her 12th story East River apartment into a waiting spacecraft that then plunged into the river below. These observations correspond precisely with what Miss Cortelli had told Hopkins had happened when he recovered her memory of an abduction in November of 1989. I also have some thoughts regarding Mr. Lou Elizondo. Now, I said that and my dog's ears perked up, even though he's trying to take a nap. But recently I was listening to Lou Elizondo on the Kurt Jaimungal Theories of Everything podcast, also with Sean Cahill. And I guess my opinion is, initially, I thought Lou Elizondo was clearly a disinformation guy for the CIA, who was trying to put out his own narrative and kind of take ownership over this Tic Tac situation. And I did not like the whole To the Stars Academy. That's looked like, to me, like such an obvious, like, we're going to make an entertainment company to drip out disclosure. I think Hal Puthoff was in there. It was a psyop, though. Maybe a benevolent psyop, but a psyop nonetheless. But now, as I listen to more of Mr. Elizondo's podcast interviews, he seems exhausted, tired, beaten down, because the advice that he's giving to people is, hey, go watch a comedy, or go learn how to fish. Don't obsess, or don't ask me for answers, like he's exasperated that the community of ufologists and then this whole new wave of people interested in it are looking at it like a cataclysmic event, when I really don't think it will be cataclysmic unless the government uses the old war against the aliens trick. So those are just some comments that I had about that. And I think my opinion of Lou Elizondo now is that he's now encountering some frustration in releasing new material, which I think he has. And I think that the war in Ukraine, the UFOs and their keen interest in humans' nuclear weapon capability, I think that there is a lot of stress in the community that Putin really is the kind of guy who might end the world and would any benevolent UFO, any benevolent extraterrestrial intelligent life forms, whether they be gray aliens or Nordics or reptilians or fish people at the UN or, little green men or dog men, octopuses, whatever is out there, would they intervene on our behalf and save mankind from this calamity? And I guess I'm probably of the opinion that they're not going to. I did hear one of the most beautiful little stories by lawyer Daniel Sheehan the other day, and I just want to recite it really quick. Somebody asked him a question on a podcast about will the aliens intervene on humans' behalf? And he gave this great story. He said, this little boy found this caterpillar out in the wild. It was a monarch caterpillar. And he took it home and he kept it warm and he watched it over weeks and weeks as it came out of its cocoon into this beautiful monarch, most perfect monarch butterfly. And he was so excited that he helped foster this monarch butterfly's transition. But there was a single silk strand that the monarch butterfly could not break out of the cocoon. And he was struggling for hours and hours. And the little boy wanted to be helpful. So he just kind of took a little pair of scissors ever so slightly and just snipped that little piece of silk hair. And the monarch butterfly was free. But unfortunately, that monarch butterfly couldn't fly because it needed its struggle to break free of that silk string to build the muscles to be able to fly. And I'd love to wish everybody out there a happy St. Patrick's Day from one of the capital St. Patrick's Day cities in all of America. That's right, Cleveland, Ohio. The third biggest Irish population in all of the United States, right behind Savannah, Georgia, and Boston, Massachusetts. Surprisingly, you'd know, have you know? Chicago comes in fourth. So to all my Irish brothers and sisters in America and all across the world, I'd like to leave you with one last word. May the wind be at your back always. Never above ya, never beneath ya, always beside ya. I love you. Slash.
If I ever leave this world alive, I'll come back down and sit beside your feet tonight. Wherever I am, you'll always be more than just a memory.
Damn it.